We continue to favor the domestic-centric companies, i.e. companies that derive most of their earnings, revenues from domestic market, because of a number of factors. The first one being it will be a multi-year structural growth in domestic demand. Simple anecdote will be, the second tier, third tier, fourth tier city are trying to live the life of the first tier city. So this will be a multi-year story. So that's one. And secondly, the younger generation will also be, spending, upgrading their way that they spend, so-called the premiumization. And thirdly, given the situation with not just so much of COVID-19, but more with the trade war and all the conflict that we are seeing between the U.S. and China, it leaves China with little levers than to stimulate the domestic demand. So that is the way to go for not just the short term, but the long term. And that's why we feel that particular sector, the domestic-driven sector, is a lot more insulated versus those that are exposed to the international markets.
Sure. So the data that we've picked up thus far indicates that on the manufacturing side, things are stabilizing in China, but the recovery on the consumption side still looks a bit bumpy and a bit patchy.
Yes.
At what point in time do you think in the foreseeable future does the consumption curve become linear?
Well, that's a difficult question. As always, when it comes to timing, it is hard to judge. There is still concern. As long as we do not have the effective, you can call it vaccine or treatment on COVID-19, there will always be that cautiousness in terms of going out at the having meals at the restaurants. There will always be social distancing measures, and that will curb the consumption. And of course, the fear of losing jobs that will also linger around and curb consumption. But what I'm saying here is to look out further than this year. Look out more than a year from now, you will see that the consumption is still very much alive, and the government is doing a lot to bring consumption back to China. And you could see that through policies, with Hainan Island being one of them, trying to promote the domestic duty-free market on the island. And you will see a number of measures implemented by the government in that sense. So I'm not saying that it will happen very shortly, but once people are used to the way of living and where we have something more effective in terms of treatment of COVID-19, we should see the consumption coming back. And I think some of the stocks are already, cyclical consumer stocks are already positioned in terms of pricing for that.